All right. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to introduce a guest interviewee today, Ngoni Mufute. And I wanted to interview Ngoni because I heard that he earned a Fulbright Research Scholarship Award from Zimbabwe to come to Utah State University in the United States. And I had the pleasure to learn as well that you use some ProFellow resources in order to create a really exceptional application to get to this really extraordinary Fulbright Award in the US. So Ngoni, I was interested to learn more about you, about your journey to the US. And I had a couple questions for you for this interview today. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Yes.
Let me start with this. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you started to work in your field, and what is your area of expertise, and how did you become interested in this area?
Oh, okay. So maybe I'll give you my full name is Ngoni Louis Mufute. But people call me Ngoni. I mean, even my family, they call me Ngoni back at home in Zimbabwe. I'm Zimbabwean, by the way. My area of expertise is water resources management and irrigation. So I've got several years experience in this field, and maybe I can talk a bit about my education also. I did a Bachelor's of Science in Agricultural Engineering, then I went on to do a Master's in Water Resources Management at the University of Zimbabwe. That's where I had my education. So I am a lecturer or a junior lecturer at the Midlands State University. MSU, it shares the same acronym with Michigan State University.
Right.
I confused those two. Yeah, it's also called MSU. So I'm in the Department of Land and Water Resources Management at the Midland State University. I teach irrigation, watershed management, and rainwater harvesting. I also do a lot of some research and community engagement activities, visiting farmers and other community members where I stay. Yeah, so maybe I could also talk about just a moment. Are you with me, Vicky?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, that's fine. So I could talk about also some previous scholarships that I've received. I did my master's through a WaterNet program scholarship. And
Yes.
I'm also a recipient of Orange Knowledge Program. That is a Netherlands government, several short courses. I received scholarships to do those short courses at IHE, Delft in the Netherlands. I also received an Australia Africa Awards to attend a course called Irrigation, Water Management and Agriculture at the University of Queensland. And I also got an award to attend the rainwater harvesting utilization course at the Gansu Water Conservancy Research Institute in China. So I'll talk a bit about how I became interested in this topic. I spent my early years of primary school. Some people call it elementary school. I guess that's what you call it in the United States. Yeah, I spent my early years in the rural areas in the eastern part of Zimbabwe. So the most livelihood activity there is, agriculture, basically rain-fed agriculture. So every time we had a drought, crops would fail, and that was not good for for the families and the country, for example, the economy. So I wondered at the very early stage in my background, like when I was still a kid, how could I help, solve this problem? So as I grew up, went to college, I chose, a major in agricultural engineering. And also when I did my master's, it was in water. So water and irrigation basically are about supplying water to crops, So that's how I got interested in this research topic.
Wonderful. Now, you were recently selected for a Fulbright Research Scholar Award to come to the United States.
Yes.
How did you first learn about this opportunity to do your research through the Fulbright program? And is this something that you always wanted to do?
Let me say that, yes, I'm a 2021 Fulbright visiting research scholar, and probably the full or the actual Fulbright research program that I am on, because there are several Fulbright programs, is called Research Awards for African Scholars, a program in curriculum development grants. And so I started this in mid-February this year. And my project title is Practical Training on Irrigation Water Management, Research on the Evaluation of Solar Irrigation in the United States. Yeah, I first heard about the Fulbright Awards during my college years from colleagues and friends at college. And back then, I always regarded these awards as being prestigious, and they are really prestigious indeed. And I consider them to be beyond my abilities to apply. So those years I didn't consider applying, you know. It was not until I started working as a lecturer that I seriously considered applying for these scholarships. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned in your email when we connected that you were able to use some ProFellow resources, articles, or tips to really help prepare your application. Tell me, which ones did you find most useful so that other international applicants might really hone in on those?
Oh, okay. So when I started working at the MSU, that's where I had discovered by chance, through searches on internet about the organization ProFellow. So I started reading your articles on your website, and of course other articles from other people on other websites. And so at that time, our university actually put a call for Fulbright Awards on our university staff portal. So I applied during that in response to the call. Basically, I used a lot of ProFellow resources to help me with my preparation. I would mention some, then probably go on to mention a bit of how I use them. Yeah. There's one document like how to win competitive fellowships, 5 secrets of fellowship winners. You actually yourself actually wrote that one on your website. So it talks about a lot of things about, well, it taught me basically that it's not only about what I want, it's also about the organization that I'm applying for, their goals. You have to really consider those. That's one of the things that it taught me. It is other things, of course, that it talks about concerning the application processes. So it also taught about storytelling. I'll go sometime later and talk about that. Yeah. I also, consulted other documents like it's actually called our step-by-step guide for competitive fellowship application. It is basically, it's a good document. It really helped me structure my applications as well as understanding the required application documents and how to put them together. It has got sort of step-by-step procedures. It explains the procedures step by step, how to go about it. So that's one other document. Let me just try to go and then I also read a group of other articles, like 5 powerful personal statement openings of fellowship winners, how to write a personal statement for graduate school. This one was by Deborah Vieira, but I also found it on your own website.
Our guest authors.
Yes, yeah, these are the authors that also, contribute on your website, actually, or on your organization's website. So others like how to write a personal statement, 6 exercises to conquer writer's block. I found that you wrote that one actually. And another one, how to answer why, 3 tips for fellowship applicants, the ultimate guide to telling your story in a personal statement. There's another author that contributed on that one. These resources helped me prepare my cover letter, which is kind of a short version of a personal statement, and also a short biography of myself. These things were required, and obviously my project statement. Yes.
Right, that's wonderful.
Yes, yes. There are
Yeah,
many
I'm
other
glad to hear that
Yeah.
you used so many of the personal statement articles that we've written. Some I've written, actually many of them have been written by other Fulbright fellows. So we love to feature people's ideas on what makes it stand out. And I love that you honed in on the mission of the organization of the Fulbright Awards, because it really is an award about international diplomacy.
Yes.
Building relationships between countries. So I think that is a really good thing to emphasize in your application.
Yes, definitely. Yes, yes.
Well,
yes.
tell me now about your application process from Zimbabwe to the Fulbright research. Like, how did you figure out a host institution at Utah State, and how did you create your project proposal for this?
So let me probably talk about the application process first.
Yeah.
You know, I applied for this successful award. I had applied before. I'll talk about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but for this one, like it was flighted, or the call was made in 2019, and the deadline was like in May 2021. In May 2021 actually, to May 2020. Sorry, that was the deadline for the application. So the documents that were required, they were like the cover letter, which is a short version of personal statement, a resume, a short CV, that is, and a summary of a project statement. You know. So I went on to do that. Then the second round application was about my biography, which is to me a version of a personal statement. Mm-hmm. They also required a detailed CV and more detailed proposed a project statement, which is more about what you want to do, as well as the research program that you want to do and your plan of what you want to do. So that's what that was like the application process. And of course, I went through the first round, the second round, and I got shortlisted. Then after shortlisted, of course, you have to go through the administrative works procedures. So you know, I was given an option. I was given an option to look for my host institution, or to get the sponsors look for the host institution. So even though I opted to let the International Institute of Education, which is the administrator of the Fulbright program on behalf of the Department of State, they searched for and selected the host institution for me. But obviously, I had to give suggestions. I had to read about possible host institutions and give them, you know, suggestions to which they could actually consider. So they eventually chose the host institution for me.
Oh, great. Yeah, it doesn't always work that way for some of the awards, but that is interesting that for you suggested schools, and then Utah State University, were they ones that were leading research in your area of interest around water management?
Yeah, Utah State actually is, I would say, is one of the leading universities in the world when it comes to irrigation and water management for agriculture issues. Really, they are really an authority in those areas. So I feel very honored, basically, that they selected that institution for me. Yeah, I feel very honored.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, tell me now about you know, the day in the life of a Fulbright. Now that you're here in the United States, working at the university, what are you doing on your Fulbright day to day? What sort of activities are you involved in?
Okay. Yeah, there's quite a lot of things that you do. I mean, these are still early days yet for me, but yeah, I've done a lot of things. I'll talk about, like, in the first few weeks, basically it's mostly about the administrative issues, orientation, getting registration on your institution, submitting documents, you know, to the sponsors, and complying with the immigration requirements. Those are the things that you have to do. sort out your bank accounts and finalizing long-term accommodation. This is what you start by doing, you know, those you can't avoid going through. So after that, some of the major tasks that you have to go through day by day is like you have a plan. Like when I got in touch with my host, we had to finalize my proposal. I mean, to sort of fine-tune it to meet conditions on the ground and expectations of my host. So we developed a project plan, you know, how to implement that project. So one of the major tasks is obviously to go through the tasks within that plan that include, in my case, technical reading about the technical issues in my field, practical training also on certain equipment related to my field, because that was actually part of my project, what I had proposed to do. So I go through that. And I'm actually right now, because you know we are getting towards the end of winter, and in winter, irrigation is not normally practiced. They practice it in summer. So right now, everybody's just doing like the preparation work to go to the field and so forth. So that's like some of the things that we do: prepare for the field work, finalizing the research plan, you know, and selecting study size, things like that. I also learn about what other students and fellow scholars are researching on, and I also take part in their activities and help them do their preparations. I also attend, you know, meetings that are related to day-to-day issues at the university. Like I also attend scheduled meetings on professional development, which are normally group meetings in our department with my host. He also works with a group of students. So we normally have scheduled meetings basically on Monday, every Monday morning. So where we go through what we are doing in research and also select a certain, you know, professional development topic to talk about that weekend. That's what we do. I also participate in the departmental seminars. You know, the department is large, so they host seminars like every Thursday. So people get to attend, present, make presentations, and people comment on those presentations. Talking of seminars, this coming Monday, I'll be going to the southern part of Utah, St. George, to attend a conference with my host and other, you know, faculty members. So basically, for now, that's what we are doing. Yeah, that's what we are doing. But in summer, we will be going to the field and doing our research. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the field work that you're going to be doing when it's closer to spring, summertime?
Okay. Basically, it's like visiting potential research sites. Yeah, getting to go to the field and finalizing what we need to be doing in my research. Basically, I think that is the most important thing. And of course, the other thing that I've been doing so far is like we've been going to organizations that do things in my field. So going there, look at what they do. It really helped me because, you know, I get to appreciate how these things are done in the United States. And also we have had visiting organizations also presenting to us about what they do and things like that. So that has been a good experience for me.
Right. I'm curious, are you looking at irrigation practices or technologies that could be applied in Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Or vice versa?
Yes, equipment like, we also include irrigation practices. Like, you know, there are different irrigation systems. Some are very common here in the United States, you know, because, you know, the country is more developed and some of these are more sophisticated. But some of them, of course, they are also available in my place. So in Zimbabwe, so we looked at that. We are looking at that. And also there are some other equipment that are used in irrigation. For example, to see the amount of moisture in the soil, we use certain gadgets to do that, for example. So there are so many gadgets to do that. So I've been looking at some of those that I have not had experience to work with. So yeah, those are some of the things
interesting.
that I've been doing. Yeah.
I know Utah is basically a desert, so it's it must be I'm not surprised. Well, actually, I guess there's there's some different climates there, but it's not far from us. We're in Central Oregon, so we're in the high desert here too. So it's a high desert with some moisture in the winter. So
Yes, actually, yeah, most of the precipitation or moisture that they get for irrigation is actually from snow.
right.
It's generated in winter, actually, yeah. So they have to collect it or to harvest it in dams, reservoirs, and things like that, so that they can start irrigation in summer. Yes, yeah, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's much of the moisture or the water is more from snow than from rainfall. As is the situation in my country. I mean, we get our rainfall, our moisture, our water from rain, but here it's mostly from snow. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit more too about, there's a big aspect of the Fulbright is the cultural exchange. So outside of the research, how have you engaged with the community in Utah? And what are you learning about US culture that's interesting to you? And have you had any opportunity to share your culture with your US community?
Yes, yeah. It's still early days yet. I mean, but I've done certain things that I've already done. Yeah. I've been engaged in informal discussions, for example, with my colleagues, my fellow students, and also with faculty staff. During those, we've been discussing about our various cultures. My culture included sharing my culture, like how we do certain things in Zimbabwe, how we school in Zimbabwe, how life is in Zimbabwe, for example, in the rural areas, in urban areas. Yeah, making comparisons and constructs. I mean, contrasts on those things. Yeah. So yeah, we've done that. Yeah. I've been invited to dinners, of course, at home. Yeah, getting to eat typical American food or home cooked food, that is, with American families. I've done that. Yeah. So yeah, I've done that, and I've also met other people outside my host institution. For example, when I first stayed in the hotel, my first few days, I met people there, including the hotel manager, who actually linked me to a very good bank to open my bank account, for example. He actually linked, I saw other people at the hotel who actually have roots from Africa, and they were able to discuss issues with me. Some other guys eventually took me to their grandfather who grew up in South Africa, which is our neighboring country, and he visited Zimbabwe many times. So we shared a lot of experiences.
Oh, that's great.
So we are still very much in touch with them, and yeah, and there are other members of the wider communities that I've met. They've invited me to their social activities, to their places of worship, like in Logan, I've learned about the history of Utah and Logan. There are these people who believed, yes, they went to a church called, they were called the Mormons. Those are the first, migrants to get to the place. Yeah, so some of the people actually, or most people in my host town or city, they go to Latter-day Saints Church, which is basically it was from the original Mormons. So there are churches of historical significance in Logan that have been taken to by these people. For example, in the Logan Temple, it's a historic building. Yeah, we have made plans also to visit other sites of interest like the Logan Canyon, the Beaver Mountain Ski Resort and things like that. But we are yet to do that. For skiing, I'll just have to go and watch others ski until I really learn how to ski. But the other things, definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing a beautiful scenery. And in summer, we have other things that we have planned to do, like go visit Yellowstone National Park and go to Utah. Yeah, so we've planned a lot of other things that we can do. And so far, these are some of the things that I've managed to do. Yes.
Yeah, there's skiing in Utah. Is there skiing in Zimbabwe?
Definitely not. No, we don't have snow in Zimbabwe, so we don't ski. But South Africa, maybe the southernmost tip, yeah, in Cape Town, they have snow here and there, but not enough, unfortunately, for skiing. But maybe in the highlands, in some parts of South Africa and Lesotho, yeah, there's some possibilities of skiing, but not in Zimbabwe. No.
It's so interesting. Well, and
Yeah.
yeah, be careful when you go skiing for the first time, get some lessons.
Yes, I saw people fall. I mean, when they, when they were trying to ski, people who have experience. So I said to
An
myself,
interesting
"Yeah, but
sport, yeah.
yeah, yeah." I said, "No, you know." When I first arrived, actually, it was time for Winter Olympics, and I would watch the USA team on cable TV. That's when I learned about the various different types of skiing. I mean, winter sports. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so it was interesting, yeah, for me, yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is great. It's so interesting, all of the cultural things. I'm sure there was things that you expected, but maybe also things that were surprising, like when you came to Utah, the food, the people. You said that it's true that there's a very large, it's really the center of the Mormon religion is in Utah.
Yes.
And so many interesting things. So I hope the more you're there too, you'll get to share your culture, your foods, your music, and those sorts of things with Americans, because we do love to learn about other cultures.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. I would learn to do that. Then one thing that I'm kind of missing is to teach them how. I mean, to show them, or maybe to cook for them our traditional staple dish, like we call it sadza, which is basically a thick paste of porridge made from corn flour. You call it corn, we call it maize, but here it's called corn. Yeah, so corn flour, yeah, we use that paste. Then we have a relish maybe made of vegetables and meat and so forth. So I wanted to make that, but I can't seem to find the
The right
right
ingredient.
flour, the right ingredients, yes, to make
It
that.
can be really hard. If you go to any big cities, though, then you should look for the African like grocery stores. You might, if you
Yeah,
go to, oh, there's some, Salt Lake City might have it if you're,
yeah,
able
yeah,
to,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
find those ingredients.
Yeah. I've met a guy when I was coming he is, into the US. We were sitting next together in the plane, and yeah, he lives in Salt Lake City. So I plan to go and see him and for him to
Because
show me around the Salt Lake City. Yes, yes, yes.
I know that's one thing. It's hard. You do miss the food when you go to a foreign country, like you miss your own food, your home food.
Yes, yeah, that happens a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, I miss sadza. I miss sadza sometimes, but where I'm used to eating whatever is available, I've traveled to several other places before. So yeah, even though I do miss my sadza, but I'm used to eating
Getting you.
the food that is available wherever I am. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
I've got one last question for you before we wrap up. If you
Okay.
could give any advice to other scholars or students from Zimbabwe or even other foreign countries in terms of
Okay.
applying to these Fulbright Awards, what advice would you give? What would be your top tips?
Um, I'll first of all give things that I've learned from my own experience. I've told you I applied before in 2017 for several other, some other time for several other scholarships. But in 2017 in particular, I applied for the Fulbright, a PhD scholarship, but I failed in the last finalist interview. So I learned a lot of things from those processes. So the first thing is like, do your homework. Do your homework about what you want to do, where you want to do it, and why you want to do it in the USA, so that you can make a compelling and feasible application. When I mean compelling is like, do you really know what you want to do in the USA? And why is it that you want to do it in the USA? Can't you not do it in your home country, for example? You know, and you have to choose a good, a fit host institution for you to do it in the United States. So you have to make a convincing application in that regard, and also the application obviously has to be feasible. So this is an important thing that I have learned. And the other thing is consult with those who have applied successfully for scholarships before. it would be even better if you could find somebody who have applied for the exact scholarship that you want to apply. They really give you very useful tips that you can use to apply. So for myself, I consulted a lot of colleagues who had applied for Fulbright and also for other scholarship programs like the Orange Knowledge program from the Netherlands. So yeah, I learned a lot from that. Then of course, preparation is really important. There's nothing that beats preparation. And I've seen in one of your articles when you say opportunity favors the prepared, opportunities favor the prepared. Yeah, you have used that statement in some of your articles, So I really learned that is really important. I cannot overemphasize that. Yeah. So for example, gathering the required information and documents in time, doing background research about the institutions, about the scholarship providers themselves and their values, things like that. That is really important. And you also need time, obviously, to fine-tune your application documents and so forth. So it's really important. And the other thing is like, don't feel intimidated by whatever the title or the way some of these scholarships are viewed. You can get intimidated by that and decide not to apply. I have these similar experiences with that. Also, you can actually have these perceived ideas that I can't apply for this prestigious scholarship because the competition is top notch. I can't match the competition. I'm not good enough, So everybody has a story to tell. So, and you have your own unique experiences and qualities. So it's about how you package and customize your experiences and your stories to convince the selectors, to show them that you are the right candidate, you are the right pick for what they want, you are the right person, to advance their goals, right? Usually they've got goals about social impact, like the Fulbright, it's about enhancing mutual understanding between peoples and also between the United States and in other countries. So you need to understand that, you need to show that you are the right candidate, but everybody has done something in those regards, and it's about how you put your story across. That really is important. So that's some of the advice that I can share with those who are willing to apply. Yeah.
I love it. Ngoni, you are a true ProFellow. I feel like you've really embodied the ProFellow spirit.
Well, yes, I mean, I've read thousands and thousands of articles. I'm still doing it right now. Yeah, I'm still reading some articles. Yeah, they're still helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
And we also love that you're working in a really socially impactful field. Yes. Water and climate change are going to be two really big issues facing our future generations. So we need more people like you doing the research and developing mutual understanding in this particular field, especially. So thank you for dedicating your life to this work. And we're so happy to have you here in the US. We hope you have a good experience here. And we hope too, if you go back to your home country, if there's other aspiring applicants, you'll have some great tips to share for other students and scholars from Zimbabwe that want to take on something like a Fulbright Award. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also part of this Fulbright program, you have to convince them that you'll be able to share your whatever you learn with the people in your home country, really, and other society members. We have to create a big social impact. That's one thing that you really need to convince them to see. So I have a plan for that. I will definitely do that.
Wonderful.
Try to have a social impact in my own country, definitely.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ngoni. Well, enjoy your week and